Oh, welcome, Jeff. We have a new member. Jeffy. So you've decided to throw your life away. Shame. 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 Work my hands out here. I've been mainly holding pressure washers all day. So, kinds of gotta work them out. Been gripping a freaking pressure washer for most of the day. It looks good out there. Getting there. Who do we got? Wendell, Jeffy, of course, Carol, Stefan. We got Trolls, Matt, Bill, Justin, Stretch CPO, Speaker. What's up, dude? John, Fretless Head, Christopher, Yeti Motzi, Ian's Guitar Shack. Got Dennis, Eric, got Stuart, J. Schaff, you know. Who was the last person I saw? Zach, and then Super Lead, Fiesta Pa, JMT Bills, Tiger Palm, Frank C. Who else? I think I saw John, Calvin, Stewart. Anything on the Steam sale? No, but you know what is on sale? I got an email from Overloud. THU is on sale for their big summer discount. I think it's good through the end of July, so you have some time. But I did get an email from Overloud this week saying they were having a big July sale. So probably a pretty decent discount on THU. You know, so yeah, good good week. It was all over the place. It was hot, it was cold, but did you I'm sure you saw Oasis and the Ozzy shows. Ozzy's going on today. Could be over by now. They're 5 hours ahead. And then the Oasis show was, I think, either 2 nights ago. Not last night. I think it was 2 nights ago. And both getting pretty good reviews. I saw a bunch of footage from the Ozzy, what is that called? The Back to the Beginning. I saw quite a few clips out there. It reminds me why I can't go to shows, because the ones that were a ripoff of the stream of the actual curated content were fine. But the ones that were shot from the audience, all you could hear was everybody around them singing every lyric to every song. You couldn't hear. They were just singing over everything. I'd be like, oh, I'd be dying, sitting here listening to a bunch of lousy drunks. And generals and their masses. It's like, how much was this ticket to listen to Drinky the Drunk? You know, but I caught a few of the clips out there. What am I thinking? I think Ronnie Wood. He came out and did Train Kept Rolling with Steven Tyler. And you know what? Steven Tyler had vocal surgery. You know, I thought he sounded actually okay. At least the clip I heard. It actually sounded pretty decent. I'd have to hear the full recorded version. This was an audience shot clip, but I was like, you know what? Not bad, dude, considering how old he is and that he's recovering from vocal surgery. Not bad. Not bad. I caught the, yeah, who else? I think Anthrax did, they were all doing Sabbath tunes. Anthrax did a cover, thought it sounded pretty good. I thought Metallica, they did a Sabbath tune. I actually thought that sounded pretty good. You know, one of the better sounding bands. Jay came out, and I want to say with Lizzie Hale and Nuno, and they did Ultimate Sin. And then I want to say it was Vernon Reid with Nuno. And I think it's Rudy Sarzo who's playing on a lot of the, you know, a lot of the clips I'm seeing. Not all of them, though. It depends on the lineup. And they did Bark at the Moon. And Nuno's killing it. Nuno just sounded so freaking good. Nuno sounded amazing. What else did I see? Am I writing it down here? Guns N' Roses did Never Say Die. I just thought I mean, compared to Metallica, I gotta say, I thought Guns N' Roses sounded a little anemic, right? And again, this was crowd recorded, but again, two different people, two different locations, so, you know, and two different phones, I'm sure. So it just depends on the recording equipment. Metallica did they did Hole in the Sky, and they sounded good. Guns N' Roses did Never Say Die. It was just okay. It wasn't a train wreck, but it wasn't like, wow, that's like really good. And then I saw Ozzy come out sitting. I think he came up through the floor, and they did I Don't Know. And Ozzy was singing. He clearly was singing. And I thought he did okay. I thought the Oz man, you know what? Give him props for coming out and doing it. And then I did catch a little bit of War Pigs. That was a rougher mix, but again, it could have been just the person's phone and the person's location. That was a little trickier. And it sounded like they were coming through real slow. And I think they got all four original members finally back there. I think Bill Ward is finally on the drums. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think they finally did get Bill Ward, you know, out there. And so, yeah, it'll be good. You're going to see a flood, you know, you're going to see a flood of content, and I would say in the next 24 to 48 hours. And, you know, we'll get a better handle on how the show went. Oh, yeah, that's right. The guy from Ghost did it. He was the guy, he did Bark at the Moon. The singer was the guy, the singer for Ghost. He was okay. I felt like he couldn't quite hit it's a tougher range than you realize. Ozzy is a tenor, and you if you're a friggin', if you're a baritone, you're realizing, man, this is way harder than I could have imagined. Ozzy's vocal range is much higher. And I don't know if Nuno. Someone was telling me Tom Morello was the, and I remember seeing him out there for a few things. Was telling me he was the musical director. For some reason, I kept seeing Nuno. I kept thinking Nuno was the musical director because Nuno was the musical director for Rihanna for years, right? Working with a whole bunch of different musicians. So he's had the job, right? He knows what it's like to be a musical director and get everybody whipped into shape and get everything all going, right? So when you have a bunch of guest people coming out. But I don't think so. Someone else was telling me it was Tom Morello that was actually the musical director. It's a tough job, It's like you're herding cats out there. Oh, man. That is good. Hello, Salem. Bias sings tunes down a C standard for most of their stuff. Yeah, that's when that's when you realize there was a time when people tuned the E standard, and playing in the freaking key of A. It's up there. You're like, it's not just an E, it's freaking F sharp, A major, F sharp minor. It's tough. What's up, Rico? Tom was the musical director and Nuno was just playing for the superstar lineups. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. What's up, Christoph? So, it seems like the thing has been genuinely going without, a hiccup. It seems to be, going. It's like his Live Aid. It's Sabbath Aid. Oh, hold on. I got this friggin' thing under my foot. I can feel it. There we go. Hold on. We got this. Hold on. Jesus, I can feel it under there. Better. Get it over there. Hold on. Come on. There we go. Did Sammy Hagar play as well? I didn't, I haven't caught all the streams. I don't even know the lineup. I'd have to go and look. I thought Steven Tyler sounded pretty good. You know what? Considering his age, you got to give him got to handicap him a little bit on that, right? On that golf course. Got to give him come on. There we go. Might be a little better. I know if I move this around, it's going to make a loud clicky. All from mostly local Birmingham charities, yeah. Any video clips from the Sabbath show? Yeah, I saw a bunch today. But who knows how long they'll last. I'll probably get a takedown. How'd I get the mixer going? I realized it was this. I bought another mixer and it sucked. I had to return it. So what I did was I sprayed a friggin' half a can of that friggin' fader stuff in here and just worked it until I finally got it going. And I realized that this is the problem, and I should just leave it and just work this one, which never gets moved. I've just used this fader so much, I've sort of worn it out. And it works, but don't touch it. God, like everything in my house. Listen, it's working now, so don't touch it. And quite frankly, I'm getting a way stronger meter than I have in a very long time. I think it had been slowly losing its ability to pass a signal, and I just didn't realize it. So I did buy another mixer. I said, just to see if it will work, I bought like literally a $50, like 4-channel, tiny little DJ mixer off of Amazon, right? It's like the Nell Sonic, right? Just like total friggin' hot garbage, right? And, but I said, how tricky could it be to just make a mixer? What I didn't count on was the noise. It was just hissy. I was like, oh no. If I can hear that noise, if I'm hearing it, it's really friggin' loud. Oh no. And that's when I went back to trying to fix this one again and get it going. I think if I have to, a lot of people suggested Allen and Heath, and they seem to get really, really good reviews. If I had to replace this, I'd probably try to replace it with an Allen and Heath, like straight up mixer. I actually also figured out how to go direct this mic direct into my Focusrite. I actually got that working. The problem is that the Focusrite preamps just aren't strong enough. I'm so friggin' low in the mix. The buffers in this are so much better. I get such a better sound. My voice is better bass, better everything. Everything just sounds a lot better through this than it did directly because, I think this has some EQ in it, or it has some stuff in it, but the Focusrite is like totally, low distortion, low everything, completely transparent, and it's trying to be the cleanest possible input is working against me with this microphone. I just couldn't get it that loud. And I was like, no. No. So I had to switch. It was really, that new mixer really was hot garbage. It was so bad. And I literally had it heading back to Amazon within 24 hours. I said, oh, no. What are your thoughts on hardware modelers? I mean, they do sound really good. My problem is that they're kind of pricey. I could throw together, probably less than $300, a whole PC, and with an audio interface. You could spend $100 on the PC, 150, right? Get yourself an N150, load it up. It would be pretty smoking. It'd be shockingly fast. It's a quad core. You could get that, a $99, like little interface like this right here, so you could get ASIO. And then you got to buy the software, which is going to run you about $150. So that's it's pretty good. Versus you get yourself a decent set of headphones and have quite the little rig there for less than $500 easily. Get yourself a monitor, $100 monitor. The whole seriously, you could really put that together for short money. Those freaking fractals, they are not cheap, man. $1,800 for the FM9. It's like $24.99, I think, for the fractal. You know, the XFX3. So, kind of tough, right? It's way more portable, certainly way more portable, and I'm sure absolutely killer. But I get some pretty decent sounds out of THU, and I just think overall, even with the cost of hardware, and you know, if you already have a computer, and most people do, you could just use that by the $100 audio interface and the $150, you know, $180 software, whatever it is, when it's on sale. And, you know, pretty cheap. What gen is my Focusrite? Gen 3. I got Gen 3. I hear the Gen 4 uses the, because they upgraded the Claret preamps. And so the old Clarets, got the hand-me-downs, got the Claret hand-me-downs, which I'm sure are better than what's in Gen 3, right? I'm sure that Gen 4 is nice. So I don't know if you saw it. It was in, the reason why it came on my radar is because it was on like the Yahoo financial page, which was, I think, quoting Bloomberg. I think it was Bloomberg that broke the story. But Bloomberg is behind a paywall. So I couldn't get the Bloomberg story. But I found the CBS business owner used 1.8 million credit card points to handle tariff costs. And it's Robert Keeley from Keeley Pedals, a 33-person pedal company in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Blah, blah, blah. And he had a potentiometer he can't source anywhere other than China. And so he had an $11,000 tariff bill. And he used his credit card points, and he accrued the credit card points by paying previous tariff charges with the plastic. I'm telling you, if you don't think prices are going to go up, I think you're crazy. You can just see it. And he goes, it sounds like a lot of points. It gives you a sense how much I'm paying in tariffs. So, you know, he's trying to make pedals in the U.S., but those tariffs are going to hurt him. And I don't think they're going to be making potentiometers in the U.S. any longer. You know, we make luxury goods here. We don't really make basics and essentials. So at least he's trying to lower his costs by getting the credit card company to give him some cash back through points, right? So he gets the cash back in the points, and he can use that to lower some of the costs, right? You're basically getting the bank to pay for them a little bit, right? Because those points are generated by using the card, and you turn 1.8 million points into $11,000. Sure. That sounds about right. But, you know, it was smart. But the only reason why I knew about the story, because, like I said, it broke through. I was on the Yahoo financial page, and I was like, Keeley? I know Robert Keeley. And so, smart of him. But, like I said, I just think eventually, you know, you're going to have to pay the price because he is. You can just see that. And eventually that's going to get passed down to consumers. It couldn't not be. They'd be out of business. The other thing that came up this week that I thought was interesting was, and this has been a story for a little bit, but, you know, Floyd Rose is now, quote-unquote, made in the USA, but it's not. You'll see people say Floyd Rose is made in the USA, but they're not really made in the USA. And I think people who are saying that aren't Floyd Rose. Floyd Rose is talking about we're a U.S. company, and they make some of the parts in the USA, But if you look at the actual Floyd Rose as a complete package, it is built in the USA. And there is a distinction. You can't say made in the USA unless a certain percentage is actually made in the USA. And they just don't reach that threshold. So they have to say built in the USA, like Ford trucks, built in America, right? You have to use the word built because you're using too many foreign parts. You can't say made. So the Floyd Rose is, let me see if I can find it here. The Floyd Rose, yeah. They, if you check the breakdown of their hype page, right, their brochure, their website, they talk about they make the nut in the U.S. and they make the saddles in the U.S. But the base plate, the fine-tuning screws, the locking blocks, the trem block, the screws that lock up at the nut, I don't think any of that's made in the U.S. They do make the nut, which is the nut plate and the clamping plates, right? But check this out. They're 3D printed. They're making them on a 3D printer. So I don't know. For all I know, 3D printing is way better than regular construction. But I think time will have to tell. My spidey sense says that when you're mixing a metal with a polymer, that it wouldn't be. But, for all I know, it's stronger than steel. But like I said, only time will tell whether the 3D printed nuts have the durability of the, the standard machined, which is what it was. They're no longer made in Germany, right? It's crafted. And then they talk about how they make the precision CNC machine saddles, right? So they're doing that. So, other than the saddles and the nut, there's really no, right, American-made saddle sets. So they're making the saddles here, sure. But other than the saddles and the nut, there really is not a lot of talk about what else is made in America. And the overall package is built in America, built in the USA. So, again, I think it's a mix of locally made and internationally made, internationally sourced, and they put it all together. Floyd Rose was always an American company. No matter where the tremolo was made, they were always making money off of it, right? So it's just, where do you, apparently they had a falling out with the German supplier. So they're trying to make them here. And then they're realizing manufacturing is hard. Let's 3D print the nut. Let's make our own saddles here. And it looks like everything else might be outside. But who knows? At some point, once they get these processes down, they could perhaps make enough of the parts in the U.S. to move up a notch from built in the USA to made in the USA. But they're not there yet, from what I can see. Yeah, how much coffee and chocolate beans are grown in the U.S.? It's a shockingly low number. Where is Keeley made and assembled? I don't know. A lot of items are, made overseas, and they just, they brand it American because it has such a selling point, right? It's such a marketing thing that they're just dying to say made in USA. Well, yeah, but what if you found out that, you know, the bodies came in completely finished. The necks came in from another source completely finished, except for the logo on the headstock. You affixed the logo. You affixed some other, like the serial number. Assembled the guitar, strung it up, you know, put the electronics in it. Is that enough? You know, and it depends on where the electronics are made. Let's assume you bought them from a U.S. source like DiMarzio or Seymour Duncan. Is that enough to get from built in the USA to made in the USA? I don't know, but I'm assuming that to get made in the USA, you probably need to be at 51%, and pickups probably just aren't going to cut it. I don't know how they would, you know, account for it, but you know, this was a huge thing back in the 80s, right? Charvel was making guitars in Japan, but the import company was based in Texas, and so it would have a Texas address on the back plate. So are they made in the USA? Well, we're from Texas. Yeah, but where's the guitar made? We're a Texas company. It's like, Ibanez did it with Bensalem, Pennsylvania. It would say Bensalem, Pennsylvania on the back. So were these made in America? Well, it says Bensalem, Pennsylvania on the back now, doesn't it? Yeah, but what does that mean? That's all, yeah. Who else? That was Ibanez. There was another one. Oh, Kramer with Neptune, New Jersey. They had to take Made in the USA off the guitar, but they rebranded it Kramer American. So is it made in America? What do you need to hear? Yeah. They've been playing coy with that crap for years. So, you know, I would take anything that says it's made in the USA with a grain of salt. And you say Godo tremolos are well-made built. Oh, they are. I think Godo makes really good stuff. If I was going to buy a Floyd Rose today, I'd buy the Godo. It's not even close. I think they've out-Floyded Floyd Rose. I think they make the smoothest one out there. The other one would be the Edge. The problem is that the Edge one is very expensive. They get like $400 for that friggin' tremolo. It's like, it's a little kooky. So that's where the Godo is better, because it's down to earth for pricing. It's actually not that mind-boggling that pencils aren't made in the United States. It's because we don't really make necessities here, other than food. We tend to make luxury goods. Necessities tend to be made in poorer economies. Exactly. The Zakk Wylde Stratocaster, now with EMGs. The Godo 1996 is a badass, and it's cheap. Yeah, relatively speaking, the Godo stuff is pretty competitive. That's why it's so hard to get it. People and Godo provides a lot of OEM, a ton. Like every EVH tuner, you know, countless bridges are made by them. They're very, very active on the OEM side. That is good. So they got the Prime sale this week. We'll see if there's anything. We'll see if there's anything good. I'll buy the headphones if they're on sale. That was the bummer at Black Friday last year, was that they didn't have the headphones on sale. So with that, crossing my fingers that they'll put the headphones on sale, because at $89, that's the best thing on Prime Day. That's crazy good. I'll buy a set. The ones I'm wearing. I paid $139 for these and thought I was doing great, but on Prime Day last year they were $89, and I regret not just buying a set. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have just bought a set. Even the PRS Herman Lee model has the Goto bridge. Goto is really good. No, Prime can be pretty good. Ben Tom. Like I said, these headphones are normally $199, and you'd see them on sale for like $149. I got them for like $139. I was like, whoa, nice score. And then on Prime Day they were $89, and I was like, oh man, damn. Should have just waited for Prime Day. So now they have some decent sales. Again, it depends. Better with electronics. I can do really good on electronic stuff there, especially like you'll get like your lowest price you've seen if you've been following the prices for, say, a 4 terabyte NVMe, right? Gen 4, and you want like 7 gigs plus. You'll see it at decent prices, but all of a sudden it will be like $10 or $15 less, which in electronics, that's a huge break. You know, they're like a goddamn commodity. They just do not fall like that. So, speaking of, electronics commodities, crazy good news this week in the video card market for the first time. I saw at my local Best Buy, they had the RTX 470, the 70, for $549. That's MSRP. And I know it's crazy to be like, oh my God, I can't believe we're finally at MSRP, but it's been such a crazy markup. The goddamn price gouging has been insane on these. And there's finally enough stock that there's not enough scalpers to go around, and you can actually get one for freaking MSRP. It is insane. But they finally went out there. Again, total missed opportunity by Intel and AMD. NVIDIA could not get their shit together. There was a total window of opportunity, but they couldn't get their shit together either. And now NVIDIA seems to be flooding the market. I'm seeing 5060s and 5070s everywhere. Of course, a 5070 Ti is still a gank, and God forbid you want a 5080, a card that should be $999, and they're getting friggin' $1499. A mere 50% markup. You know. So, if you have a hot commodity video card, the price gouging is real. And the only way you can beat that down is by flooding the market, which is how I think they're trying to control switch to gouging, right? You just keep flooding the market with stock, and make sure that demand is met, and the scalpers, wind up trying to get their investment back, let alone friggin' make money. Now they're starting to panic. Yeah, so it's they do have the 8, but they also have the 16s, but the 16s, they're getting a slight premium on them. They're not quite MSRP. I saw the 4060 16 gigs, and they were I want to say like $439, right? $429, somewhere around there. And then the 5070 with 12 gigs of VRAM, I had seen as low as about $605, and they finally dropped down, which is, a markup over the $549 it's supposed to go for. And finally I started to see them $549. And not even the double fan ones, the triple fans. which run a little cooler, so you're not listening to a friggin' jet engine all day. You know, you want to get that. But, you know, the 2 is okay if you're not really using it, but if you, you know, I would be using it for video, right? And that will run the card pretty hard when it's rendering, but only when it's rendering. When it's not rendering it, I like it to be silent. So you want to have one that has, like, the technology to actually turn the fans off if they're not needed, and only really kick them up when you're really working it, either with gaming, which I don't really do. I do the retro gaming. That doesn't really need much power. Or video rendering. That's what I really need it for, video rendering. Make an AI version of myself, and they can just sit in for me, and I can do 1,000 channels. Talking, it's 1,000 channels. 1,000 monkeys on 1,000 channels. Soon they will make the greatest novel of all time. It was the best of times. It was the blurst of times. Oh, so good. What's up, Chuck? Yeah, I had a good holiday. You know what? We were unusually dry here. Normally, we're kind of muggy and sweltery heat. And it was a cooler and way more Canadian type weather, where the dew point was in the 50s and not in the 70s. The 70s are coming back. I think by Tuesday or Wednesday we're going to be in the mid 70s for dew point, which is just gross. But yesterday was actually not too bad. Mid to low 50s on the dew point, which is tolerable. You know. 8 gig cards are only viable if you're not much of a gamer. You know what? Or video rendering, because a 4K video render only needs, believe it or not, only about 4 gigs of RAM, because each frame is just, you know, 4K in size, and so you only need about 4 gigs of RAM to run about as fast as it's going to run. Anything over 4 gigs, you don't really see much uplift. So you could get an 8 gig 4060 for video rendering and you'd be just fine. And you really wouldn't see uplift going to 16 gigs. Went to the old State House downtown for the Declaration reading. It was a madhouse. I would have hated it. I'm sure I would have. What is wrong with you people? Go home. I would have been... I'd be freaking dying. You run an 8 gig card with an ultra wide 39-inch monitor, no problem, yeah. You know, for a lot of games, 8 gigs is okay. It's only certain titles that have really big frames. And if you want to run it higher than 1080p, certainly if you want to run it higher than 1440p, then yeah, you got to get 16 gigs. Anything less than that, and you're probably gonna see massive frame slowdowns. Big Plymouth yachts, oh my god, yeah. Giant wood paneled station wagons. Oh, that is good. What else happened this week? Not much. I think I did see something that Squier. I feel like we talked about this prior, but maybe we didn't. That Squier was coming out with a new round of classic vibes. I think the headline for that, though, is that I I think they're $5.99. Kind of up there for a Squier. The only thing that might justify it is it looked like all of them, or certainly a lot of them, had Bigsby tailpieces, which would certainly raise the cost. Add a Bigsby. That'll do it. That will do it. They do look good. Let me see if I can find those. I did hear about some new. No? Nothing? Oh, it's Harley Benton. Squier Classic Vibe. Classic Vibe. Is it a custom run? We got 45, huh? That's quite the run. Wow. Is that everything? I'd like to hope so. All right. Coming soon. Custom Squier. Not bad. Those prices are good. So what was the one that was $5.99? I kind of think it was a Telly. And the Telly had a Bigsby. Because these are all what I would normal, right? $4.50. That's normal. That's right in line. $4.99, getting up there a little bit. There's a bases. This is the one I'm thinking of. Wow, it's cheaper than they were quoting before. Oh yeah, no, it's $524.99. Huh. So I don't know where that $5.99 came from, unless the reporter got the number wrong. Because that was the guitar, that blue one with the Bigsby style there. Right, with the Bigsby tailpiece. That was it. Definitely it. And so $75 less than what I was thinking. $5.25. Don't be so dramatic. It's only $5.25. Yeah, $4.50. $5.05. $5.05. The Barry cost is $5.05. Classic Vibe 50s, pretty good. I had a Classic Vibe 60s Strat that I thought was friggin' awesome. I love that thing. Yeah, right there, Classic Vibe 60s. I had, I could have sworn it, oh Christ. I could have sworn it was like a red. Yeah, like that. Nice looking guitar. Yeah. Oh, sure. Check it out. Check it out. It's having a seizure. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Bigsby's either. They don't have a ton of room, and I don't think they're particularly stable. Uh, it's just a very light flutter. So I'm not a big fan of Bigsby's either. I've never installed a Bigsby. No. I think that trims are notoriously fickle. The Strat trim can be stable but you got to really work it. I think that really the only safe trim out there is the Floyd Rose in terms of like tuning stability. I think every other one is a freaking gamble. I wouldn't use a Bigsby. I'd be worried about setting the guitar just constantly out of tune. It would have to be soaked in friggin' olive oil. It's like keep it from, binding up. The whole thing just, I don't know. They've never been reliable. I think, where's it? I thought it was F? No, it doesn't sound. Is it A? I have to look it up again. Try to Reverend with a Bigsby, stayed in tune perfectly. Yeah, you know what? I'll have to get a Bigsby guitar down here for Guitar of the Week and give it a try. I'm sure I could find one. I'm sure Zion's got a Bigsby in there somewhere. How's my lawn? It's starting to brown up. We're starting to hit, a bit of dry spell. It's like when we haven't really had a ton of rain. And I'm just located in just like a lot of North America. We're really not located for where the grasses are, right? The grasses that we grow up here in the Northeast, and quite frankly, a lot of east of the Mississippi, they're English grasses, right? They're all English grasses. And England, I don't know if you know this, is a lot friggin' more north the sun isn't quite as high in the sky, and they get a lot more moisture because of the Gulf Stream smashing like a friggin' trillion joules of energy into it a year. So, in the summertime, when the sun up here gets like super high in the sky, it just burns the grass. The grass can't take it. Our grass is brown up. They only really start to come back in like August, and certainly by September they start to come back. But our grasses are really only meant for like May and most of June. Then by July they're already starting to tank, and they pretty much stay like crap all through July and August. And then they start to come back towards the end of August, right, as the sun starts to go down, and you might get a little bit more rain, and it starts to cool off, and maybe you get some dew out there, some condensation, but for the most part, you'd have to go far enough south that you could use St. Augustine grass or like Bermuda grass, which we can't. Now we're too cold. I can't run that. So we're stuck with English grasses, and English grasses just die in the summer around here. I don't have a sprinkler system, no. Sounds expensive. Any lawn around here that's green has irrigation. And we can thank England for dandelions. Yeah, there's always rain somewhere, but usually the rain is east of the Mississippi, and this time of year it's a little bit more south. We don't get it. We go through dry spells around here. It's crazy. Especially in the summer. We really go through a summer drought. Have I tried thin-bladed fescue? Most grasses you get up here won't be a purebred. You're almost certainly going to get a mix of perennial ryegrass, what do they call that, tall fescue, and Kentucky bluegrass. And I think the theory is one of them's going to take. So that's usually the blend you get around here. Yeah, my grass is stressed enough that it's not really been growing. I mowed it a week ago, but it doesn't really feel like it's ready to be mowed again. Oh my God, someone was shooting off fireworks. I had the window cracked open because it was cool. Like I said, it was cool and kind of dry. It was like the dew point was like 51, 52. I said, well, I'll open the window. And a dude down the street lit off a couple of big friggin' fireworks. Oh my God, my cat. I thought she was going to shit herself. Oh, speaking of shitting herself, you don't really see Henri that much. She's the sort of the darker stripy one. She's not down here as much. But she was up in the window the other day, and I had the window closed, the glass was down, and it was locked, and all of a sudden, she freaked out at the window so hard, and like went crazy, and hit the window with her paw like a couple of times. I thought she was going to break the glass. And her tail, she was like a goddamn coyote. Her tail was so freaking huge. And I was like, whoa, 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 what's going on? What's going on? And I go over there and I pull it back, and there's a cat on the other side. This white cat with like red eyes. This cat is like freaking frightening. And I said, oh, it's like one of those things where you walk over to the curtain and you pull it back and there's a face staring back at you. I think she went over there and pulled that curtain back and saw that cat and like practically shit herself. I was like, oh, man. She was losing it. I was like, calm down there. And of course, as soon as the cat saw me, it went running off. But I've seen that cat out there before. I heard Sweetie in a standoff with it. Came up to the window, and Sweetie was growling and moaning. Rob! It's like losing their shit. It's like, will you calm down? And a bear staring back at you. We don't really see bears around here. We're too urban. Coyotes, but coyotes can coexist in an urban atmosphere. Yeah, in an urban environment, they can get by. Don't really see bears though, but we have friends out in Western Mass, and they are definitely rural, and they said they've seen black bears in their backyard several times. I was like, yikes. We get deer, but I very, very rarely have seen a deer on my street. Maybe twice in the 25 years I've lived here. 23 years we've lived here. You don't really see them. Coyotes a few times. In fact, the coyotes were really ramping up for a while. And of course, bunnies. Oh my God, the friggin' bunnies. And raccoons. A raccoon somewhere. Yeah, I got a major surplus of rabbits, yeah. Yeah. We got the rabbits like crazy. We never had them when I was younger. Now they're friggin' everywhere. The Tascam mixer wasn't working, but I sprayed it with a whole bunch of that cleaner, and I'm not going to touch this one, which I think is faulty. I'm working off of this slider here, and I'm just leaving this one. And so far, so good. You want to talk about crazy? The ice maker / water and in my refrigerator hasn't worked in years. And I noticed the other day that it was set to water. And my son had some friends over, and I pressed the glass on it, and sure enough, water comes out. So it's a clear glass. I fill it up to the top, and I look up, and man, it's got some serious floaties floating around in there. I'm like, oh man, that's gross. And I emptied it out, and I just kept flushing it, and then it ran clear. I just kept, this is the first time I've seen this thing working out. And I said, my son had all those friends over. They don't know that thing didn't work. He came over. Somehow he pressed on this. Can you imagine the swill that kid drank? He drank from it. I'm like, oh, I was getting grossed out just thinking about it. I was like, oh, that dude. One of those dudes went in the kitchen and was like, oh, look, a water dispenser. And my son doesn't tell him, don't get the water out of the water dispenser because it doesn't work. I'm sure it worked for him. Oh my God, that thing was so gross. But like I said, I ran it till it was clear. And then just for shits and giggles, I emptied all the ice out of the ice maker, and which has been broken for years, and let it start to run. And sure enough, it started making ice again. I could not believe it. I let it run about a half a tub of ice, which I threw away, figuring it's got to clear the line out. And I checked the water out of the front again. Clear, no floaties, completely clear. And I was like, wow. And I checked today, and the ice maker's completely working. I could not believe it. It's insane. Out of nowhere, the refrigerator gods Is Alshon here? Hello, Alshon. So it's I just felt bad for that some kid. I am guarantee you, one of my son's friends drank from that water, and man, that is gross. Hey, what's up, Tony? Yeah, I think it's fine now. Like I said, after about 3 glasses full, it was just swimming. It looked like friggin' sea monkeys in there. Goddamn brine shrimp. The first one. Second one, half as many. Third one, looking pretty good. By the time I got to the 4th or 5th one, completely clear. I'm filling up 16-ounce glasses and throwing them right down the sink. And I was like, oh, I think this might be okay. You just got to flush it out here. And then you got to keep using it. You can't let it sit. You got to keep flushing it. So I let it go. And then today I went in there and I said, well, let me just see how it looks. Oh my God, it came out crystal clear again. I was like, I think I flushed the line. Yeah, exactly. Now it's going to fall apart. That was what was all, the goop, that was the glue holding everything together. Yeah, you bought the sea monkeys. You got to remember, my dad had a pet store when we were kids. We sold the sea monkeys. And we used to beg him, oh, we want sea monkeys. And he's like, it's a waste of time. It's not what you think. Oh, we want the sea monkeys. Why can't we have the sea monkeys? All right, here's the sea monkeys. And we were like, oh, no, that sucks. Yeah, no, you were right. Let's buy these crystals that grow. Then we bought the growing crystal kit. How does the SG stack against my black SG? They're pretty much the same guitar. It's just a different color variation. It's got the same neck, though. This is just a custom color. It's that cardinal red burst. That's the only thing that differentiates this. But it's the same build, right? It's the same specs. I don't think there's any difference spec-wise. You'd have to get like the 61 reissue if you want to get I think a different carve on the neck and also a different pickguard. Pet rock. Dude, we sold a lot of pet rocks. And I cannot even make this up. We sold a $25. Now, I assure you, when the pet rock came out, what was that, 74, 75? $25 and 74, 75 is a lot of freaking money. This woman came in, she bought a gold bird cage. And she bought we sold, like, for the rabbits, we sold, it was like wood shavings, right? We used to get them out of this like farm supply house, and it was the shape, basically, the sod, I think they'd call it, for the bottom of the a tank, right? It was basically wood chips, right? It's wood chips, and she bought the wood chips. She bought a $25 bird cage. She probably spent $40 for her goddamn pet rock. I am not even kidding you right now. She had a pet rock that she loved, and she wanted a cage for it to display it. And I was like, you know, maybe the rock doesn't want to be in a cage. Maybe it's a free range rock. Yeah, exactly. The sea monkeys were, well, I think, freeze dried brine shrimp. Is that what it was? And brine shrimp, you can't kill them, right? You could just add water and they come back to life. I've always said Gibson, the pickups just always sound so good. They're not too bright, but they're not muddy. You know, they just got that nice bite. They're just right. Gibson pickups are just, they always sound, you know, really, really good. It's like a nice cut, but it's not overly harsh. Exactly, it was a purebred. I should have flush and replace the fridge filter at least quarterly. I think, you know, that's what it was. It's like we had put a filter in and it wasn't passing water anymore. And I said, well, I think the filter's bad. So I pulled the filter out. I bought another filter and put it in. This was years ago. And I said, well, no, the new filter doesn't work either. It's clearly broken. I was like, okay. And that was it. It stopped making ice. We stopped getting water out of it. I had put 2 filters in a row in it and switching back and forth. Could not get it to work. It's like, oh, whatever. I was pissed. It's like, oh, whatever. It's no longer working. We actually bought a separate ice maker, a countertop ice maker, you know, so we could make ice around the holidays and in the summer. And won't have to use that. Coffee tasting good. Yeah, this has been pretty good. Sounds like a water line froze. You know, I would have thought that too. But we don't keep, you know, it shouldn't. And, you know, we there's nothing that would indicate that it would be like that. I think what happened was, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I noticed at the bottom, someone had kicked the bottom and the door, which is like a ballpoint pen, right, clicks in and you click it again, it comes back out. The door was open. Someone had bumped their foot into the bottom of the door. And I was like, oh, that's the filter door. And I kicked it shut. And like Fonzie, I fixed it. Uh, 61 SG is a great guitar. Sweetwater made a pricing mistake, so we got it new for around $900. That's a great price. I asked Gibson if it's okay to sell so cheap and gave their approval. Yeah, sure. Nice. That's a really good price. I think these custom colors are the same price as the non-custom colors. I don't think you pay any more to get the custom color. So they have the Pelham Blue Burst, and that the one that Bobby liked. He texted me. He's like, he goes, I tell you that it was like a teal, right? It was like a green that was like a bit see-through, like a translucent green. He's like, I think that looks really nice. I'm like, I know, right? Saw the new Jurassic Park movie. It was a snooze fest. Uh-oh. Sounds like pretty much every Jurassic Park since the first one. Mine has the same finish as the one you're playing. Oh, yeah, it's the Cardinal Redburst? Yeah. It's a good-looking color. People said they thought the guitar looked small, but I think it's just because of the burst. Right? A little optical illusion makes it look smaller because, you know, you're missing the... Right, it looks like the edge is there. Oh, it's small, and you're like, no, it goes quite a bit. It's still going, you just don't see it. F1 was awesome, yeah. You know what, I didn't see the movie, but I caught the very end of Bullet Train, which is on HBO. It's in rotation on HBO on cable TV. And I happened to catch just literally the last 5 minutes of the movie, maybe 8 minutes of the movie. And I swear to God, right there, right in that very final climactic scene with the train and, you know, this bullet train and all the stupid stuff, and there's basically a 60-second ad for Fiji water. They follow the how like the one of the characters looks over and sees the Fiji water, and they go back and show the life of the Fiji water as from when it was purchased earlier and how it made its way through to finally end up in the spot it is. And I said, oh my God, what are they doing? This looks like literally a 60-second ad for Fiji water. Just unbelievable. I'm like, all right, interesting. Only thing good about the new Jurassic Park movie is Scarlett Johansson, sure. That doesn't bode well. When you're rooting for the dinosaurs. Yeah, the new Mission Impossible. I haven't seen that. It's right, and they made a live, I think it's literally clip for clip, a live-action version of How to Train Your Dragon. That's crazy. Right, and they do more photorealistic CGI. You know? Speaking of movies, John Wick is finally dead. Is it, though? You know, they have funny ways of bringing characters back. It's called money. Oh, we've earned a ton of money from the franchise, but we could always earn a little bit more. So it just depends on if they think they can make money. What I thought was cool was that that last, I saw a sort of like an insider breakdown on the last Godzilla Kong, the New Empire movie, and basically said how they came in under budget because they did more CGI, and it's crossed from that computer shots cost less now than actually setting up live action. And so they actually, for the type of movie that it is, it was actually a lot cheaper than normal because of their reliance way more on just straight up all generated by computer. And as computers get cheaper and cheaper to like render those scenes, you're going to see more and more of that because it's cost effective. The one that always comes to mind was when Blu-ray came out. They were like, are they ever going to... They shot all the original Star Trek The Next Generation on film, right? So the resolution is there. Could they transfer the print to Blu-ray in 1080p? And they said, no, we're not going to be doing Blu-ray. We're not going to be doing 1080p. We're not going to be doing 4K because Industrial Light and Magic did all the special effects. They were crazy expensive, and we would have to re-render everything in the high resolution to be able to, because we have the actual print, the film, plus we have the special effects, and those are rendered in 480p. And there's just no way where, we could do it. It's cost prohibitive. Cut to a few years later, they're like, actually, that shit got way cheap. And they did it. They're like, yeah, we're going to re-render everything. We're going to re-render all those graphics in the higher resolution. Yeah, it turns out it's a lot cheaper than it was when we first looked at this. A lot cheaper. So eventually they could get it where they could do a 4K transfer and just re-render the graphics in 4K. Because it has become so cheap now that it's not the prohibitive cost that it was, when they first looked at it. I know, wait for the AI actors. I talked about that like literally 25 years ago. I was working in IT and we were at some party. And the big thing was they were talking about Tupac, right? The Tupac, computer generated image that go around and he might be on stage, right? Do the hologram. And I said, well, it's not going to happen today or maybe even in 10 years, but someday John Wayne could star in a movie again. And he, they'd literally be able to just insert, James Dean could do a brand new movie. Absolutely. It's just a matter of time. And a couple of dudes were like, absolutely. I said, someday, not now. But someday they'll be able to very easily recreate just about any famous actor. That's why they're all sort of scrambling to protect their images, their likeness. Because they do worry that someone will go out and make a, Can Charlie Chaplin claim it at this point? Do you ever lose the right to your likeness? Will Charlie Chaplin's just look become public domain? I don't know. Be crazy. Sasquatch and Yeti too. I saw that. Yeah, huge AI stars. Yeah. Well, the remastered Trek looks amazing. Did you see Sam with a William Shatner trick shot? I have not. I'll take a look for it. So it's just so funny how when it comes out, they're like, and mark my words, they will never, ever be in 1080p. Ah, no, actually, we can do that now. I take that back. Yeah. Yeah. Who knew? Who knew it would get so cheap, but it did. It got crazy cheap. So they're like, yeah, now we can do it, sure. Yeah, exactly. AI will be making movies that AI software wants to watch, and then AI will write all the ads and AI movies, and it'll be all crazy. Hey, if you want to make AI cool, have it detect when an ad's running and run an overlay. They're probably already scared that that would happen, that the TV makers could run their own ads over, right? Just jump ahead at the end of the line. Yeah, when we thought video calls was like super high tech. I remember, I think it was back in the 80s because we had pagers, and someone would page you and you could call them back, right? Everyone had pagers. And I remember thinking, man, if they ever get phones, imagine a dude just like literally just walking down the street with their phone to their ear, like on a call with someone. That's going to be crazy. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, I know that I bought something already, so they can stop showing me ads for stuff I already bought. Oh, I know. God, I look for anything, and man, I am inundated with ads. Go on and look at a freaking dehumidifier, and I get dehumidifiers for like weeks. Have you bought that dehumidifier yet? What will be the next leap? It's hard to say. Um, my wife uses AI a lot because they use it to um, the grunt work, like coming up with outlines. And of course, it has to be gone over by a human. But they're really good at writing outlines, right, and coming up with frameworks. So it makes it a lot easier from content that's been created. But then they can go through the content and make a really good framework that only needs a little bit of modification to get it, perfect. Someday they might get it perfect right out of the gate, but the author already knows what's been written. It's just cross-checking to make sure that everything is correct in the sort of in the syllabus, or the table of contents for it. But for the most part, the outline, the framework. But it's really good at that. Yeah, medical field will probably, because it could constantly think about solving certain problems with like cancer research that they've been using computers for a while to do, but maybe eventually it'll get just so powerful that it can actually solve it. What I do see is a lot of people using AI to take what was an image of their favorite player and have them holding not the player's guitar, but their favorite guitar. I very often see like pictures of like someone who never played a Charvel holding a Charvel, and they're going like, I bet you never knew they played a Charvel, and people in the comments going, look at their fingers. Look at their earlobes. Dude, this is AI generated. What? They're like, yeah, they never played a Charvel. They were dead before Charvel was a brand. Huh? It's like, what are you doing? But you do see that. It does heavy listing of, the same. It is good at pulling out analysis of things. I told you, I think last week or the week before, I have a friend, a bass player, and he will do one long form content where he basically does a podcast and, just sort of goes all over the place and covers, whatever, a bunch of different topics. And I don't even think he puts much time into that. He just goes and, whatever he's thinking about and gets into different things, maybe a little outline. But then he'll have ChatGPT go through and pull out the segments for him and tell him where the parts are so he doesn't have to do it. Gives him all the timestamps. And so it makes it real easy to pull the segments out, and he turns that one long form into like dozens of short form and puts out like reels all over, like Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff, so TikTok. And so he's sort of found his way by doing one long form and then just pulling out a bunch of short form from it. Yeah, the AI feature in Photo Editor removes stuff. That is actually pretty damn good. Removing objects. And I've used it quite a bit to identify. Sometimes I'll see someone in, because they're uncredited, right? They have a tiny little cameo in a movie. I'm like, oh, who is that? I know that from somewhere, and you say, oh, right, she was in this. That's who that is, I'll use AI to sort of pull that out. It's pretty good at determining, but only if it's from like a famous image. They'll even tell you AI isn't good at detecting faces. That's what they say. I don't believe it. At work, we have Copilot built in MS Office that people that had programmed before now sound educated. Oh my God, we used to have this one dude. I used to have to tell him the difference between there, and two, and two. I'm like, dude, you can't even be serious right now. And then the one he used to always, I used to always have to send him like loose equals opposite of tight. Lose means opposite of win / find. And because he was constantly mixing up loose and lose. And I'm like, dude, those are two completely different words. Exactly, the your and your, oh my God, brutal. Exactly, what a loser. It's like, dude, see, how old are you? Like mind-boggling that he could hold such a high position in a firm and not know the difference between loose and lose. Just mind-blowing. But I see that a lot, actually. Two utes. What the hell is a ute? He also had a couple of fingers blown off. Same guy. And he explained to me that he was messing with pipe bombs and probably shouldn't have. I said, yeah, that's a hard lesson. He's like, oh yeah, no. Like he literally had a couple of fingers blown off on one hand. And he said, yeah, he goes, I was into making a few pipe bombs and then one went off in my hand. I'm like, that'll do it. Lucky you're not dead. Was he autistic? No way. He was, for IT stuff, he actually, I would say, was shockingly competent on the server stuff. Like, really good. So he certainly didn't have any sort of a learning disability or anything, and he certainly could interact no problem at all. He just, like, the details, like loose and lose, was just no interest in it. But, and yet, like, a lot of details when it came to, like, servers, like setting up servers, setting up RAID, setting up, the networking. He had those details down, and he was really good at researching and getting what was necessary. And he would have things done very quickly. I got this set, I got that set, I got this set, I got, he would boom, 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 and have everything, like, ready to go. I have to say, he definitely he knew his shit when it came to IT. It was impressive, because you see a lot of dudes in IT that just don't have the skills. You just do. And, but no, he had the skills. I remember him setting up, he set up a Mac in his office. He had a BOS system going. He had a few different alternative operating systems running. Yeah, he was explosively competent. No, actually, clearly incompetent with explosives. Individuals can be genius, just right. Can focus on certain things very intently, sure. Want a firecracker, take your finger up? I think if your hand is clenched, it could, sure. Right? You put the firecracker in your hand, you could lose a finger, open it up, and you'll just burn your hand, right? It's got to be compressed. If you had it tight, it would blow your finger off. But he told me he had a pipe bomb, which I believe. I knew kids making pipe bombs when I was a kid. Yeah, he's a shop teacher, missing a few fingers. Why are you teaching wood shop again? Safety is our number one concern. Yeah, I can see that. Probably why you Linux guys are really good at command line. Yeah, he was good. He was good at the Cisco stuff too. You know, we had a guy that just did Cisco, but he could get in there and do some Cisco work if necessary. So the guy, you know, if it wasn't a major change, they wouldn't fly the guy up from Washington, D.C. who did the Cisco stuff. But they did have a guy who was just straight up Cisco. What's up, 3-card Monty? I teach you what not to do. Yeah, exactly. Did someone from a football team blow his hand up? Being with fireworks? Just so stupid. Got a cool guitar coming out on Monday. For Guitar of the Week, I have to say it was surprisingly enjoyable, this guitar. It's an affordable guitar. Might be one of the most affordable, if not the most affordable I've had on the Guitar of the Week. But man, it was impressive. And I might have 2 videos this week. Again, I have to see if I can get it shot. I've been trying to shoot a second video. I do have some extra stuff around here, but haven't had a chance yet. We'll see. They are 36 still on the high cost factor. No, they're one of the cheapest ones out there. But geez, they've been around for what, 3 years now? At least 2 years, 3 years now. So they're probably sort of on the way out. We'll see what happens. It's so funny. I was just mentioning the other week about the Odin 3. I said, geez, you haven't heard from Odin. Right? They did the Odin 2 and then the Odin 2 Mini and then I forget the last one, but it was an OLED. It was like the Odin like streaming or the Odin like performer or some crap. But still based on Odin 2. And now I guess they're running out of stock, and they're starting to wonder if maybe they're sort of quietly running out of stock to come out with the Odin 3, which would be about that time, you know. Ready for a new one. What kind of pickups in this? I forget. I'd have to go back and look at the. I think these are 490s. I forget now. Look it up. It's the SG standard. Whatever's in the SG standard. SG standard. SG standard. Electronics. 490 and a 490T. Yeah, 490R and 490T. 490s. surprising how much Everphone and Les Pauls have gone up in price. Well, everything's going to be going up in price. You can't have an import tax and not have higher prices. Everything's going to go up. Yeah, I have a bunch of acoustics. In fact, I have a video, all my acoustic guitars. What's the difference between the 490T and the 490R? I think one's designed for the neck and one's designed for the bridge. This is a loner. Is almost every guitar I play every Saturday is. See, I used to get the guitar for Guitar of the Week, and I would return it pretty quickly. But now I keep them through from Monday through the following Saturday to use it in the next live show. Then it goes back the week after that. So I already have the return label for this. This will go back on Monday, Tuesday at the latest, probably Monday. You know, time to send her back. I'm looking forward to see all the videos that come out for this Ozzy show. They'll be out there, and then they might get shut down. But you watch the next, pretty much 48 hours. They'll be everywhere. Oh, I gotta move my leg over here, straighten my leg out. Oh, there we go, much better. Could I get a Squier CB telly with a Bigsby? I probably could. They're a Squier dealer. Sure. Yeah, I think that they are definitely there. I got some new brands coming in this time around. A lot of the old standbys, but I think I got at least one new brand coming in that's never been featured before. Not this week's, but down the road. I think I got one new brand. Never been featured before. Then I'd have to think about it. I don't know. I think the other ones are all. It's hard not to repeat, once you're friggin' 60 videos in. It's hard not to do another Gibson or another Fender or another, Charvel or whatever, because you're you're just checking out different colors. Bought an SG style guitar for $140. That's pretty cheap. Need a little fret leveling, a little adjustment, put pickups, kick butt. There you go. You think Oasis is a paycheck tour? All tours are paycheck tours. Nobody goes on the road for the love of it. They go on the road for the money. So that's how it goes. Oh, thank you, Tony. Thanks for doing Guitar of the Week. I really enjoy them. Bought a few from your recommendations. I wish I was shipped to New Zealand. Yeah, you know what? Guitars are very much like car dealerships. There's territories. So, like, a lot of times, I couldn't get something here in the States that'd be out of stock, but they would have it at, like, Toman. But if you went to Toman, as soon as you put it in your car, they would go, oh, we can't deliver this product to you. We're not allowed to deliver this product to your territory. You have to go through one of your local dealers. who didn't have it in stock. So the only thing I can get out of Tolman is really Tolman branded stuff like Harley Benton. God, my eye is so friggin' itchy here. Ugh, come on. Yeah, I think that if they can tolerate each other and cash out on this UK tour, then I suspect that they will be showing up in the States. Oasis. Oh, God, my eye. Killing me. Yeah, Harley Benton has a reverb store they ship from Maryland. Yeah. But you can't get the latest stuff from them. Like, they don't have that new Charvel-looking guitar that they've put out there. They got nothing like that's not here yet. You can buy it from Harley Benton in Germany, but they don't have it. You'll have to wait till they ship over a bunch to the U.S. store before it shows up there. Last time I checked, nothing. There's no orange peel effect. It's glossy. You might feel a little arm sweat, but no. This thing is glossy. Yeah, I really wanted to go see the Kinks, and I think it was either 80 or 81. I think it might have been 80. The one for the road tour. And they were doing that whole friggin' album. God, I was so bummed. But I couldn't go. I was too young. My parents wouldn't let me go. Cape Cod Coliseum. And they played my college. They played at UMass. And I went and caught them. And you know what? They did not. I knew so many Kink songs. I just knew, like, because I had one for the road. And I loved, all their stuff back then in the early 80s. And they didn't play any of it. I didn't recognize a single song, which was shocking. Until they finally got to... You Really Got Me. And I was like, they didn't do Celluloid Heroes. They didn't do, Paranoia, The Destroyer. They didn't do Come Dancing. I was like, you got to be kidding me. These were some of your biggest hits. Nothing. It was all new material that I had never heard before. And one tune, and I heard they were pissed that they didn't have a lot of people there. That they were kind of angry that there was so few people in the audience. And I was like, well, not playing your hits isn't putting asses in seats. Why don't you play some of your goddamn hits? Oasis sales off the charts, Taylor Swift levels, yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's pent-up demand. There's massive pent-up demand for that. The low budget tour was outstanding. Yeah, that was, I think that was it, right? The low budget tour. It was like 80 or 81. Oh God, I'm sure that would have been an infinitely better. Because when I saw them, I don't think the both brothers were in the band, right? Didn't one of the brothers, Ray, has always been in the band, but I think Dave Davies has been out of the band like forever. So there's no Dave Davies, and it's just Ray Davies. And I think if you really wanted to see that band, you had to see them with both people in it. Can you bring guitars on your person back when you travel, or is that subject to customs taxes? That's a good question. I don't know. My guess would be that you would have to declare it. So I don't know how that would go. That's a good question. They make like 50 million pounds in the store. Yeah. And it's not that many venues, right? It's like a half dozen venues, if that. I don't feel like they're playing a ton of shows. It's not like it's 50, million pounds and they're playing 25 shows. I think it's 50 million pounds and they're playing friggin' 5 shows. Yeah, I think you'd have to declare. Yeah, and then you have the sites issue as well. So you might get pulled into a little room. Have them go over everything. You're like, great. I remember them pulling, I saw this woman, and they pulled her into a little room, and she had a bag with her that just had all kinds of like fruit in it. And so they were going through all of the fruits she was bringing in. I was like, oh my God, what a nightmare. The tariffs actually being felt. Yeah, well, it looked like Robert Keeley was feeling them. Again, it might take a little while. There's always a lag between the implementation of something and when it finally trickles, out to retail. But we'll see. Is it 41 European shows? Wow. Then they're going to be earning a lot more than friggin' maybe 50 million a night. You had to pay a tariff on a UK DJ bass, yeah. Yeah, no, but you're not going to get a replacement in the States. It's just a tax. Just call it what it is. It's a VAT, right? We finally got a VAT. We finally have a federal tax. All right, dudes. I'm just hitting 9 p.m. here. We're going to call it a night. Thanks to everybody for hanging out. Super extra special thanks to anyone contributed, and welcome new members. And we will do it all again in a week. And brofist to my mod squad. #brofist. #mod squad. And I'll see you all in a week. Check out Monday's Guitar of the Week. I think it's a pretty awesome guitar. And I'll see you maybe this week. If I have the time, I can get that second video out this week. Well, we'll see. I'm trying. It's on my to-do list. We're getting there. All right. You guys have no lag with Fender. They pre-hiked. Sure. Well, If you can predict it, why not do it now? All right, you guys have a wonderful week. I will see you all in a week. There you go. Have a great week, and we'll do it all again in a week. All right, I'm off. Have a great night. I'll see you later.